Hello, my name is Amy Naylor, welcome back to another Handpan tutorial. A few of you have been asking for a more detailed breakdown of this video. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's jump right in. So you might have noticed that the first groove that I play in that video is the simple groove from the first episode of the Handpan Build a Beat series that I started a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video already, I recommend you check that out because that's going to be the framework for the rest of this. So once you've got that down and solid, then everything else will make a little bit more sense. But if you have already seen that, just a quick refresh looks like this. Counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So the first thing that I did in this video to funk it up a little bit, to make it a bit more groovy, was to add an extra note on the 2 and. Watch again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So in the second episode of that Build a Beat series, we looked at how the space between the notes and differentiating between that space creates that funk. So we've got the difference between the first beat being really far away from that second beat, so those two dings, yeah, and then super close to the next tack, yeah. What I didn't mention in that video is that the other thing that makes it a little bit more funky is the fact that that is landing on the offbeat, the upbeat. So every time I say and, that's off the beat. The 1, 2, 3, 4, we call it the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the upbeats, those ands, that's where the funk comes in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when you've got that kind of really groovy the reason that's so groovy is because it's not landing on the downbeat. The downbeat would be a lot more grounded and like doom, doom, doom. These are my musical technical terms. I have no knowledge of actual music theory. I'm just making it up. But yeah, it's that landing on the upbeat that makes it a bit more fun to dance to. And so that's what I was doing here. That's what I was creating, that vibe, that funky vibe, by putting an extra beat on the offbeat right before the downbeat. What I then did was create a little bit more texture with it to make it more interesting to listen to by adding, well, not actually adding, by changing that beat to a dampened tone. Now I haven't really talked about mutes yet, so we'll do that super quickly now. To mute a note, what you're aiming for is not to gently place it down, although that is an option, but that's different. We'll talk about that another day. And the aim is to, again, play the note as you usually would, but rather than bouncing right the way off straight away, you're just keeping it there. That's the only difference. You're not pressing down into the pan or anything like that. You don't have to like dig into it or anything. Oh, I've got long nails today. It's exactly the same strike. Only difference is you're not lifting it up. And the reason I use my thumb is just because every finger, every different way that you play these has a different, slightly different sound. And I happen to quite like this sound. You might like a different one. I also like the flow of it when I'm playing. It might change over time. This makes far more sense, to be fair. This is just, that's just the way I do it. And your way can be different, it can be the same, it doesn't matter. But then the next thing that comes along is an extra tack, again on another offbeat. Yeah, and so the fact that I've got my thumb there allows me to keep that tone muted so that I'm not at risk of hitting anything and making it ring, and get that nice flat dead sound. But you could achieve the same thing in a different way. Again, personal preference is entirely up to you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. That's already super groovy. And just leaving it at that is enough. But we threw some more stuff in there, so I'll show you what that was. What was the next thing I threw in there? Oh, it was a little roll. So what I did there was, instead of playing a ghost note quietly as I usually would, I brought the volume up just a teeny tiny little bit, and instead of just playing one finger, I let 2 drop. So it's a little kind of 2-finger roll. In fact, I think in the video I actually used all 3. So one video that I can recommend to you to practice those rolls is the video that I did on this exercise. Yeah, that helps get your speed up in terms of using your 2 fingers, or you might want to use these 2 fingers. Again, personal preference, completely up to you. But I definitely recommend incorporating that into your daily practice, so that when you do start to play with grooves and melodies, these little things, these little inflections start to come really naturally. Another really good one that I saw Jacob Cole doing in one of his videos recently was that 5-stroke roll, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finishing on the 1 of the ding. That's a really good one to practice. So yeah, just doing this a lot, da 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 da, or da 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 da. So you can either play right, left, 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 right, or right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, or left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Yeah, it's always really important that whatever way you practice it, you also do it the opposite way as well, because again, we've got to strengthen both of those hands, because the handpan is so evenly balanced. We need to be able to play everything equally on both sides. So yeah, this is a really good thing to include in your daily practice. You can do it on your lap, you can do it on the steering wheel of your car, you can do it on the kitchen side while you're waiting for the kettle to boil or the coffee machine to do what it does. I don't know how coffee machines work. I have a kettle. I don't drink coffee. Anyway, you can get into that practice. You don't need a handpan to work on that one. And again, once you've got that really in your muscle memory, it's a really nice little fun sparkly thing to just throw in there every now and then in your improvisations or your pieces. So that was the next element. The next one is the fun one. The next thing that I did was add swing. Now this is a whole concept in itself, but basically what swing does is, again, it changes the length between the first beat and the second beat. And you're stretching it out a little bit. So rather than keeping it super straight laced back, 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 you're stretching that space in between just a little bit, so it just feels a bit more loose. So here's what the groove sounded like without the swing. And here's what the groove sounds like with the swing. Still count it the same way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But again, you're stretching that space between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But because you've stretched that space, then the next 2 notes are going to be closer. Yeah, because we're still taking up the same amount of space overall in those 4 beats. So there's one final thing to examine now, and that is I added an extra bar to the end of this groove. So we had our simple pattern, and we spiced it up. then what I did was I added a second part. There's A, B, A, B, A, B. Yeah, so I added that extra bit at the end there. So what I'm doing in this second half is I'm playing around with accents on the shoulder of the ding. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 4. Again, pay attention to how quiet those ghosts are. It's really important to keep that volume super low so that the accents, you don't have to go crazy with it, you don't have to hit it super hard, and it still pokes through, it still really punches and gets that funky vibe without hurting your fingers or your handpan. And again, whatever you practice it the other way around. So the funk there is coming from the non-dominant hand, playing that upbeat, that offbeat that we talked about already. Yeah. And I've taken away the regular 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've shifted the 3 to the 4, so it stretches it out a little bit. Again, playing with audience expectations, stretching things, bringing things together, making it more interesting, making it more danceable. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 comes a little bit later. If you want to practice those accents and playing around with where you put accents, I did a video last year sometime on shifting accents, and I've got another one coming out soon, or it might already be out by the time you see this video. I don't know, I'll put a link up somewhere. In the exercise we explore as many different combinations of ways that you can play accents so that you keep doing it and practicing it and getting it in your hands and in your head and getting that muscle memory in, so that further down the line when you're creating grooves, you've already played it in every combination you possibly can, so it becomes easy when you bring it to the pan. I should mention as well, if you haven't heard the term accent yet, an accent is simply a beat, a note, a strike that is louder than all the other ones. This type of rhythm is also commonly referred to as the 3-3-2 rhythm, so this is another way that you can look at it. And let me demonstrate why it's called that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So we're dividing that bar into a set of 3, another set of 3, and a set of 2. And you've got the accent on the ones, right? 1, 2, 3. That's the first section. Ghost, ghost. Ding, ghost, ghost. Again, all hand to hand as usual. Ding, ding, ghost, ghost. And then we've got the accent on the next one. Another 3. 1, 2, 3. That's starting on the non-dominant hand this time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then another 1. Again, bringing in the accent for the next one, but instead of counting 3 on the final one, we're counting 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. When you put that together, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, if we're all just playing all accents, put it in the context of that swing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's another way that you can look at that rhythm, and that might be helpful for you to kind of differentiate between how those notes are actually working in relation to each other. And that's it, that's the whole video. So let me show you again, and I'll try and talk you through what it is that I'm doing. I'll play it a little bit more slowly than in the original video. So to begin with, we've got that simple groove. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then we added an offbeat. 1 and 2 and on the ding. 1 and 2 and already super funky. Then we muted that offbeat to change the texture, so it's not all open and singing all the time. Make it more percussive. Then we added an extra tack. Make it a bit more interesting. Then we added some glitter with our fingers with that little 2-finger roll. Or was it? Doesn't matter where you place it. I can't remember where I put it. Or with all 3 fingers. Then we added the swing. Then we added the extra bar at the end with those accents. Again, stretching those notes out and playing with audience expectations. And then the really obvious one is we sped it up. One really important thing to note though is that speed doesn't always correlate to funk or groove or danceability. Sometimes when you really pull it back and you really like sit in the groove, it gets super funky. Yeah, it makes you want to do that stank face, like, yeah, super good. Yeah, so playing fast doesn't always mean it's better. That's not always the case. As much as some people would have you believe, that's not always the case. So yeah, play it slowly, play around with it, have fun with it, and really sit in that and really enjoy it. And I encourage you to have a go at taking this simple groove and seeing what you can do with it and how you can make it funky, how you can make it groovy, how you can make it enjoyable and listenable and fun to play. Because there are so many different ways to go about it. And it's super fun. So yeah, take that away, take from that what you will, and I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much for making it this far in the video. Yeah, have a great week.